So a lot of you guys have been wondering if I have autism or ADHD, and I just want to address those allegations in this video really quick because a lot of comments recently and for the last few months have been asking me in the comments, KAPNOYR, do you have autism? Because the reason is because I'm shaking around a lot and shit, right? And I also have a unique speech pattern where I'm going to be talking kind of weirdly sometimes, and I just want to address those things in this video. And what also sparked this video idea is that I also saw on Reddit when I opened it to look for content ideas, on the first fucking page, on the front page of the Osu Games subreddit was me, KAPNOYR, and I was like, what the fuck? And I looked at it and it was a 15-second video. I'm going to be showing it as I'm talking about it right now, but it's essentially a video of a guy going through the preview of the videos on my channel, and essentially it's me rocking back and forth like a cradle, rocking back and forth like a fucking bowling pin in the bowling alley, right? And then it shoots to the ending of the video where it shows a gif of some Russian doll or something, like some sort of doll rocking back and forth, just to show the contrast between me rocking back and forth and that toy perhaps that's used to rock back and forth like a bobblehead. Obviously it made a lot of people laugh if they're looking at there and they're like, look at this goofball rocking back and forth in comparison to the toy right there. And I just wanted to address those things because I think a lot of people would attribute that fact and that movement pattern to me having autism, and I just want to address those things. I didn't really want to talk about this because I felt like I don't have it, but maybe I do, because the universe is telling me that a lot of people are alligating me to have autism in the comments, and then me being on the front page of Reddit like this on Osu Game of KAPNOYR shaking back and forth like this. Perhaps it's the universe telling me, hey, you should probably tell your audience, do you have autism or not? And just finally spill out the marbles and tell you guys the truth. All right, hey guys, so here I am at my PC. Now we're gonna take this autism test. So let me just put y'all on real quick. All right, guys, so here is question 1. I prefer to do things on my own rather than with others. I agree with that. Yep. Question 2, I prefer doing things the same way. For instance, my morning routine or a trip to the supermarket. I do have a bit of a routine when I do things, but it's not that bad. So I would say slightly agree. I found myself becoming strongly absorbed in something, even obsessional. I do that all the time. I get obsessed with things very easily. I'm very sensitive to noise and will wear earplugs or cover my ears in certain situations. I actually am quite sensitive to noise sometimes. When I'm in my friend's car and they're blasting music, I'm like, holy shit, I gotta plug my ears. But sometimes I just don't do that, just for the social pressure of not feeling like I'm an outcast if I plug my ears. So I'd say slightly agree. Sometimes people say I'm rude, even though I think I am being polite. This does happen, actually. Some of my friends, when I say something crazy or just something like out of hand, they're like, okay, well, what the fuck, man? That was kind of mean. And I didn't even realize it was mean. So this happens to me all the time, actually. I find it easy to imagine what characters from a book might look like. I do actually am pretty good at this when I'm reading a book. I used to read a lot of books as a kid, reading the fantasy books, and I had a pretty good picture of what the people are in my head. So I would say I agree with this, definitely. I find it easy to talk in groups of people. I am actually really bad at talking in groups of people. It's not really my thing. I prefer talks with one-to-one. I can't really talk in groups of people because I don't really know when to ever step in a conversation. I kind of just listen. So I definitely disagree here. I am more interested in finding things out about people. Yes, I am very keen on being a listener. I like listening to what people have going on in their lives, and I'm just very keen on this. I find number, dates, and strings of information fascinating. I like numbers, that's for sure. I was a bit of a STEM kid. That's why I did engineering. Dates in particular, I was pretty good with dates and history, so I would say yes. And strings of information, as in learning, like knowing the fucking dopamine's a neurotransmitter of the mitochondria, it's the power of the cell. Yeah, I think they're pretty fascinating. I prefer non-fiction books and films to fiction. I do not agree with this. I actually really like fiction books when I was a kid, reading like Harry Potter and all that shit, so I don't agree with this. I find it upsetting if my daily routine is upset or changed. I do find it upsetting if my daily routine is changed. It gives me a stress signal, but it's not that bad where I'm going to be throwing tantrums like OCD level. But no, I would say I slightly agree with this. It's difficult for me to understand other people's facial expression and body language. I would say I'm pretty good at understanding people's body language and facial expression. You can just look at their face and see if they're either disgusted or happy or angry or sad. you can I can tell, so it's not that bad. I would say it's not that difficult. I would say I disagree here. I don't have any problems making small talk with new people. I think my problem with talking to new people, to strangers overall, is that getting to talk to them in the first place for me is quite challenging. For me to go to a complete stranger and say, "Hi, how you doing?" It's kind of hard for me. But if I can actually talk to them or they talk to me first, I can get the small talk going. I can talk, man. So I would say I slightly disagree here. I do have a bit of problem with actually approaching them, but that's slightly disagree. I noticed very small changes in a person's appearance. I would say
The dogger is here.
I would say I would say I would say I do notice small changes in people pretty easily if I just perhaps see that they got a new haircut or their eyeglasses were changed. I don't know. Anything small detail wise, I'm pretty good at noticing that stuff. So I say I agree here. When I was young, I used to play lots of Let's Pretend or imaginary games. I did use my imagination a lot as a kid, and I would say I did play a lot of Let's Pretend games, so yeah, I think I agree here. I like collecting information about things I'm interested in. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty common trait just for anyone, but yeah, if there's anything I'm interested in, I like collecting that information, like writing down, so I definitely agree here. I like meeting new people. I do like meeting new people because it's such a novel experience from talking to one of your friends. Because if you just have your old friends, for example, and you just talk to them, you just talked about some random shit that's like not really going on. You already know a lot of the shit that's going on with them. So talking to a new person is kind of unlocking a new area in Genshin Impact. Like there's so much to explore and meet. So I like meeting new people, but it's a bit challenging for me to again approach people. But yeah, I really like meeting new people. People close to me say I talk about the same things repeatedly. I do actually do this where I kind of repeat in my friend groups. I used to do this a lot, but I don't really do it anymore. I used to be a bit of a living soundboard where I would basically echo what memes I heard. So if I heard skibbity toilet or something, I would just say skibbity toilet just randomly here and there. But I don't really do that anymore. But I would say this is kind of true. Find it easy to work out what people are thinking or feeling just by looking at their facial expressions. I would say it's pretty easy for me to tell. You can kind of just look at their faces and be like, hey, something's wrong with this person, or maybe they're very happy. Like, I feel like it's pretty easy to tell for me personally. So I would say, yeah, I agree here. New social situations make me feel anxious. Yes, they do. Because when I talk to a new person, like I do like meeting new people, but sometimes I just don't know like what to say in a conversation. So I just end up asking them questions endlessly because I want to know about the other person, but it gives me a bit of anxiety because I'm like, okay, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say here. So I would say yes, it does make me feel anxious. It's important for me to carefully plan any activities I'm going to do. I would say I agree with this as well because if there's anything I plan to do, like if, for example, when I went to Japan, I was like, oh, I want to do this and that. But eventually I kind of conformed to the belief where, hey, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck. And I would say it is pretty important for me to plan activities, but it's not that important for me anymore. But so, for example, planning out a day, I want to know what I'm going to do that day, and I'm going to write down a task list. So I would say I would slightly agree here. I find it hard to work out what people's intentions are. I feel like it's not that hard for me to find out what people's intentions are, but it's not like it's the first thing that comes to my mind when I look at somebody doing something. I'm gonna be like, oh, he's doing this because of that. No, I don't really think of that first thing first. So I don't think it's that hard for me to find it out, but it's not like I'm thinking about it firsthand. So I would slightly disagree here. I would find it really hard to play imaginary games with children. Honestly, I wish I could say like a no answer here because I don't really know. I never really interacted with children and do these imaginary games. But I feel like if I were to theoretically do that, maybe it wouldn't be that bad because I did like doing the imaginary shit as a kid. So I would say slightly disagree, even though I never really had that experience. I am a good diplomat and can help ease difficult social or work situations. I would say I'm okay at this. So, for example, if two friends are fighting, I can identify what they're arguing about and be like, hey, maybe we can disagree here. So I feel like I'm pretty decent at this, but I'm also on the other side of the spectrum where I can also fuck shit up on my own. So I would say that I would slightly agree here, not really strongly. I'm often the last person to understand a joke. Yeah, I think I actually am this type of person to understand a joke quite last, but it doesn't happen all the time. Happens sometimes. It's not like it always happens, Like sometimes if I understand a joke that I've heard before, I'll be like, yeah, I got that. But sometimes someone's gonna tell a joke I never heard of, and be like, okay, I kind of missed a point here. They have to explain it, and then I'll get the giggle. So I would slightly agree here. I like doing things spontaneously. As you guys can see from my videos where I rock back and forth like that, that's probably true. And me just rocking back and forth on this chair right here. Yes, this is very true. I do these random bursts of motion. It's true. If I'm interrupted doing something, I find it hard to get back to what I was doing beforehand. I think this is just a common trait amongst everyone, where if they get disrupted, so perhaps they're doing some work or doing some homework, but then they get a call from their mom, and they call them for like 10 minutes, and then they try to get back to the work. It's a bit difficult to come back to it at first because you have to orient your mind and your focus back into that task. So I would say yes, I kind of agree here, but it's not that bad. I notice patterns in things all the time. Yes, I do notice patterns in things all the time. If I see something, I'm gonna try to predict the next thing by looking at the patterns. I feel like, again, this is something that's common for everyone. Humans are pattern seeking creatures after all. That's how we thrive and that's how we did well. So I say yes, I do agree here. I have some very strong interests and can get upset if I can't pursue them. I would say yes, but it's not to the point where I'll be having a temper tantrum. If I have an interest and I'm trying to do something with that, perhaps I'm trying to interact with a friend, and then we talk about something that's not really of my interest, then it's not like I'm going to throw a tantrum about it, but I might be upset inherently because I'm not talking about something that's of my own interest. But I'll try to be interested just for the sake of my friend here. But I would say I slightly agree, but I feel like this is just for anyone though, really. Like, if you're dealing with something that you're not interested in, you're probably going to be slightly upset. So I would slightly agree here. And I can tell if someone I am talking to is getting bored. I think I can tell, but I don't really know. If I'm talking to someone and I will be observing their body movements and their facial features, I'll be like, okay, maybe this person's feeling this way or that way. So I don't know. I don't know if I can really tell if people can get bored if I'm trying to talk to them. So I would say I slightly disagree here, but I don't know. I never really gave that much thought to it. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Well, alright, guys. So this test here says there's a strong probability that you are autistic. So I'm gonna just play to the next part of this video where I give my evaluation if I am autistic. I am recording this after I recorded that, where I would bet my cards I'm probably somewhere on that spectrum. But this test says I have a strong probability of being autistic. And let's just see what they say. What should I do now? Based on your results, there's a strong probability that you are autistic. Please remember that this result is only indicative and it does not form a formal diagnosis. However, people with scores like yours often benefit from a comprehensive assessment to provide an official recognized diagnosis. So I never really got diagnosed with this professionally before, but if this test is saying it and a lot of you guys are saying it, maybe it's true. But let's just cut to the next part. So I'm recording this assuming that I have passed the autism test, as in I actually do have autism, and I just want to talk about it, just give my own commentary about it. So in case I do actually have autism, and I'm going to bet on the fact that I do, because the universe might be telling me I do have it, if a lot of people think I have it, and then I'm also on the front page of Reddit like this, of me just shaking back and forth, and assuming that I do have autism right here. I know I'm repeating myself. First of all, I don't identify myself as an autistic person. And the main reason for it, perhaps I do have autism and I have this weird speech patterns. Maybe I'm weird socially. Maybe I'm going to be moving weirdly as well, right? Perhaps I have these things, but I don't really identify myself as an autistic person because mainly I think that it's a bit of a crutch, right? Because I'm going to be rocking back and forth into videos. Perhaps I'm also doing that in real life, and it's going to annoy some people. They're going to see that and think it's obnoxious or incessant. And I don't want to be that type of person where I say, well, I can't help it, I have autism. No, if it's disrupting other people, I want to work on it despite perhaps I do have this condition. Well, I want to work on it regardless, and I don't want to attribute it to me just having autism, and that's the end of the story, right? I don't really want to be that type of person where I just contribute all of my issues to my condition here. I want to actively work on it because I believe that I could actually fix it. So that's why I don't identify myself as an autistic person, because I feel like it's overall negative. Perhaps there's some positive things about it where it allows you to obsess over things and to also really focus really hard, which could attribute to having monumental success in some fields, like Elon Musk or Albert Einstein. These guys probably have autism, and maybe that condition there helped them to get to their success, getting very obsessed with Tesla or getting obsessed with physics, inventing calculus like Isaac Newton. Like, these people have very obsessive attributes, which helps them to get their success. But with those attributes come with a lot of negative attributes where people are going to act weirdly, talk weirdly, move weirdly, like how I do. So I don't really identify myself as autistic in that manner. And also, what I also want to talk about with autism right here, I feel like people just give this condition and label to different types of people. Because just like in Pokemon, for example, you're going to have your different natures or different sizes. You're going to have your pitch me size, you're going to have your massive and enormous size, you're going to have your adamant nature, you're going to have your modest nature. The same thing applies for people. People are going to be different. Not every person is the same type of people. And perhaps normal people are contributed to the fact that they have the most common attributes. Perhaps normal people are those that are going to be obedient to society and are also going to act normally within social norms, and they're going to just overall perhaps be a sociable person. They're also going to be a hardworking person. Like, this is probably the normal person, right? And those are the common attributes to what is going to contribute to a functioning society. Perhaps I don't meet some of those standards and those criteria, and I wouldn't be a normal person. So in that regards, people are going to think that perhaps I'm different. I'm quite literally built different, and that they have to create a name for these different types of people who don't meet these normal criteria. And perhaps autism is one of those. Well, I just want to say, people are all different. We're all unique. We aren't exactly the same in every manner. People are going to act weird socially. People are going to act weird some way, this way. And that's just how it is with people. Like, no one's going to be exactly the same. And as a result of that, I don't really want you guys to think that I'm any different from the person I am, just because perhaps I am identified as autistic from this test. And I just want to continue making YouTube videos on this channel, even if I have this condition called autism, which might differentiate me from different people. Yeah, I'll just keep doing my best, just keep making these YouTube videos. And yeah, maybe I do have autism, but I just don't let it define me. And yeah, I'll see y'all.